It was a calm and uneventful afternoon when Bella, a Labrador known for her gentle nature and sharp instincts, was out for her daily walk with her owner, Mark. They lived in a quiet countryside village where little ever happened beyond the usual rhythm of life. But on this particular day, fate had a far different plan. As the sun hung low in the sky, casting golden hues over the fields, Bella's attention was caught by something unusual on the narrow gravel road ahead. Her ears perked, her nose quivered, and her pace quickened. Before we start, please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more updates. Mark noticed the sudden change in Bella's behavior. She was usually a relaxed walker, content to sniff at the grass and wag her tail at the sight of butterflies. But now she seemed determined, almost frantic. She pulled at the leash, whining softly, urging Mark to follow her lead. He frowned and loosened the leash, allowing her to guide him. Whatever had grabbed her attention must have been important. As they approached, Mark's heart began to race. At first, he thought it might have been an injured animal, perhaps a rabbit or a stray cat. But as they drew closer, his breath caught in his throat. Lying in the middle of the road, wrapped in what appeared to be a thin, soiled blanket, was a baby. Mark froze for a moment, unable to process the scene in front of him. Bella, however, wasted no time. She nudged the blanket gently with her nose, her whimpers growing louder as if she understood the gravity of the situation. The baby stirred weakly, letting out a faint cry that shattered the stillness of the countryside. It was a sound that filled the air with urgency. Mark snapped out of his daze, immediately pulling out his phone to call emergency services. As he spoke to the operator, Bella stayed by the baby's side, lying down protectively as though shielding it from the world. Her warm brown eyes seemed to convey a message. "This baby is under my care now." Mark's voice trembled as he gave the operator their location and described what they had found. He crouched down to inspect the infant. The baby was tiny, perhaps only a few days old, with a delicate face flushed red from crying. Its tiny fists were clenched tightly, and its breathing was shallow. The blanket was thin and dirty, offering little protection from the elements. Mark removed his jacket and draped it over the baby to keep it warm, while Bella nudged the edges closer with her snout. As they waited for help to arrive, Mark couldn't stop wondering how such a helpless little life could have ended up abandoned on this desolate road. It was a remote area, far from the nearest town, with sparse traffic. Whoever had left the baby here must have assumed no one would find it, or perhaps they didn't care. The thought made Mark's stomach churn with anger and sadness. Bella, on the other hand, remained calm and vigilant. Her maternal instincts seemed to have kicked in. She stayed close to the baby, licking its cheek gently as if to offer reassurance. It was a sight that tugged at Mark's heartstrings. He had always known Bella was special, but seeing her act with such compassion and tenderness in this critical moment made him realize just how remarkable she truly was. Soon, the sound of sirens broke the stillness and an ambulance pulled up, followed closely by a police car. Paramedics rushed out, their faces a mix of professionalism and shock as they assessed the situation. They carefully picked up the baby, checking its vitals and wrapping it in a warmer, cleaner blanket. Bella watched every move intently, her tail wagging slowly as if to signal her approval. One of the paramedics knelt down to pet Bella. "Good girl," she said, her voice full of emotion. "You probably saved this baby's life." Bella responded with a soft bark, as if acknowledging the praise but keeping her focus on the infant. The police began their investigation, asking Mark questions about how they had found the baby. He recounted the events, emphasizing Bella's role in leading him to the spot. They nodded, jotting down notes and taking photographs of the scene. The blanket in which the baby had been wrapped was bagged as evidence, and the officers promised to do everything in their power to find out who had abandoned the child. As the ambulance drove away, carrying the baby to the nearest hospital, Mark felt a surge of relief knowing the infant was now in safe hands. Bella, however, seemed reluctant to leave. She stood watching the ambulance until it disappeared from view, her tail still and her eyes full of concern. Mark patted her head gently. "You did good, girl," he said softly. "You did something incredible today." News of the incident spread quickly through the village and beyond. Bella became a local hero overnight, with newspapers and television stations eager to cover the story. Reporters flocked to Mark's house, hoping to capture footage of the extraordinary dog who had saved a life. Bella, ever humble, took the attention in stride, wagging her tail politely for the cameras but showing more interest in her treats and toys. Meanwhile, the baby, who was named Grace by the hospital staff, was reported to be in stable condition. Doctors revealed that she had been severely undernourished and exposed to the cold for hours. Had Bella not found her when she did, the outcome could have been tragic. Grace's story touched the hearts of many, and offers to adopt her poured in from families across the country. The authorities continued their investigation, piecing together clues to identify the person responsible for abandoning her. As weeks turned into months, life gradually returned to normal for Mark and Bella, though the memory of that fateful day remained fresh. Bella continued her walks with renewed purpose, her sharp eyes scanning the surroundings as if she had taken on the role of a guardian for her community. Mark often marveled at her intuition, wondering how she had known to find the baby. Was it the faint scent of human presence on the road? Or was it something deeper, an innate sense of duty and compassion that animals so often exhibit? Grace's story had a happy continuation. She was adopted by a loving family who cherished her deeply and ensured she would never want for anything. They reached out to Mark and Bella, inviting them to visit. The reunion was emotional. Bella greeted Grace with the same gentle affection she had shown on that day, her tail wagging furiously as the now thriving baby reached out to touch her soft fur. Mark couldn't help but smile as he watched the interaction. "You saved her life," he whispered to Bella, his voice filled with gratitude. "And now look at her. She's got a bright future because of you." The bond between Bella and Grace became a symbol of hope and the extraordinary connection between humans and animals. Bella's story inspired countless others to appreciate and respect the intelligence and compassion that dogs possess. She wasn't just a pet. She was a hero, a protector, and a reminder that even in the darkest moments, there is light to be found. As the years went by, Bella continued to be celebrated in the village. Schools invited her for visits to teach children about kindness and responsibility. Animal shelters used her story to encourage adoptions, pointing out how every dog, no matter their background, had the potential to make a difference. Bella seemed to take it all in stride, her calm demeanor unchanged even as her legend grew. For Mark, that day had been a turning point. It had reminded him of the profound impact a single act of compassion could have. Bella's actions had not only saved Grace, but had also united a community, inspiring acts of kindness and generosity. He often thought about the delicate balance of life and how easily things could have turned out differently. If not for Bella's keen senses and unwavering determination, the world might never have known Grace, the little girl who now brought so much joy to everyone she met. The road where Grace was found became something of a landmark in the village. A small plaque was installed at the spot, commemorating Bella's heroic act. It read, "In honor of Bella, whose courage and compassion saved a life on this very road. A reminder that heroes come in all shapes and sizes." Bella, of course, had no concept of fame or recognition. To her, the events of that day were simply part of her duty as a loyal companion. But to everyone who heard her story, she was a miracle worker, a testament to the incredible power of love and instinct. Mark often took Bella back to that road on their walks. They would pause by the plaque, and he would pat her head, filled with pride for his extraordinary dog. Bella would wag her tail, her eyes scanning the horizon, ready to face whatever challenge might come her way next. For her, every day was a chance to make the world a little better, a lesson she taught everyone who crossed her path. When Bella eventually passed away, the village came together to honor her in a way that was both touching and fitting. A memorial service was held, attended by people whose lives she had touched, children she had comforted, families she had inspired, and of course, Grace and her family. Stories were shared, tears were shed, and laughter filled the air as they celebrated the life of a dog who had been so much more than a pet. In the years that followed, Bella's legacy lived on. A foundation was established in her name to support animal welfare and programs that paired therapy dogs with those in need. Grace, who had grown into a compassionate and confident young girl, often spoke at events hosted by the foundation, sharing how Bella had not only saved her life, but had also inspired her to help others. If you liked this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Also, leave your comments below and tell us, What are your thoughts on the dog finding the abandoned baby? We want to hear from you. Thank you for watching and see you next time.